Welcome to the Betmoorsports podcast. I'm your host, Avery Fuller, with my co-host, Stephen Trotman Bay, a.k.a.
The Guru.
And it's another week in sports that we are here to bring our perspective to the table for those that don't seem to understand that side. But either way, it's been a great week in football. We've been doing a ton, watching a ton. It's been some surprises, some stuff that's not surprised. All in all, we're going to talk about it. But before we do, it's versus. Versus is just as simple as it get. Two stupid well, let me not say that out loud again. But it's between two sports analysts that are most popular for our culture. On one side, you got Stephen A. Smith for ESPN, and on the other side, you got Shannon Sharpe with Undisputed. Guru, who you think is the better personality?
Would it surprise you any at all if I say I don't really watch neither one of them?
Nope, don't surprise me at all.
I mean, too loud, obnoxious, for lack of better words, Negroes. It's making a whole lot of noise on television, man, and most of the time ain't saying a goddamn thing. However, I do watch a few clips of Shannon Sharpe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of fuck with Shay. You know, because he kind of do what I do, drink and talk a little trash, but he just be, I don't know, I guess saying, you know, I'm more of a mellow, quiet type of guy, so I don't really do the whole yell. I don't yell to get my point across.
Right, yeah.
You know, I can't get with all that back and forth. Skip.
Yeah,
that's all that shit. I ain't with that. So, if I can vote neither, that's probably gonna be my vote.
I can dig it. You know what I'm saying? Because they do more yelling than talking. I'm a vote, and I'll just say Shannon because I know Shannon has shown to be more passionate about the things he's talking about.
And he's played the game.
Right.
And Shannon will bring you a different side of Shannon Sharpe.
Right.
Right. He can get political and he can get behind certain movements and actually make sense. Stephen A. really never makes sense to me. He just
Stephen A. is like wishy-washy. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 minute he'll feel one way, the next minute he'll feel another way, and then he'll contradict himself, and then somebody will point it out, and then he'll claim he didn't contradict himself. Then he'll go right back to what he was saying. After a while, it's like, yeah, that's the norm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So I'll say Shannon Sharpe to myself because Stephen A. just
he
won the hollering brothers.
He's definitely a hollerer, and don't get me wrong, like he's entertaining.
If that's what you're into.
If that's what you're into, exactly. Hit that right on the.
He's annoying to me, like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He one of the type people I'll invite to the Betmoorsports podcast and say, look, man, if you come in here with all that hollering shit, we're gonna get your ass up out of here.
Well, you will too. That's the crazy side. All right. We had history take place yesterday. Aaron Judge, he
MVP.
He passed Roger Maris, 62 home runs, but in the AL, and he was set out today. I think he
ain't play today.
He
get ready for the playoffs.
He on the verge of that Triple Crown, or he not gonna get it?
Nah, he ain't gonna get it.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, listen, that record better than nothing. That record, to me, added another $100 million to his contract.
Yeah, he gonna get paid big bucks. I'm gonna ask you this because I've seen a lot of people talking about it. Do you think he's the home run king now?
So the only reason why I don't think he's the home run king is because of the space between the asterisk Ted home run king and then him. So like he has 62 and Barry Bonds at 73.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's 11 home run difference. And to me, I feel like that by itself separates them. Do
you think if Judge was juicing, he couldn't hit 11 more home runs?
If Judge was juicing, he get 100. You know what I'm saying? But But who to say judge not juice? I'm just speaking hypothetically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But my thing is kind of to the point where, and I don't think that, I wouldn't say that he's the home run king neither, because steroids don't help you see the ball better or make contact with the ball. You still got to be able to make contact.
Right. It's still a
However,
skill.
Bonds went from like averaging 20 and 30 home runs to 60 and 70. So it was a dramatic change.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't something that you like. Aaron Judge always flirting around 40 home runs and, things of that nature. When he's healthy, he's smacking the ball out the pot. But to go from averaging 30 to 73, even with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, they took a huge jump in home run. And to Barry credit, though, he's never been proven that he was juicing.
Right. And I mean, I think the biggest thing is when you make that big of a jump, that's where the questions come in.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
What in the hell? 1 minute you was skinning, next minute you
biggest
Aaron Judge, and you smacking the ball 900 more feet.
Like it's nothing. So, and it's weird, too, because I would think that when you are a player like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, or Barry Bonds, that you will be a hitting coach somewhere. Because obviously, if you could hit 73 home runs, then that means that you are a superior hitter.
Right. So they get in the organization and say, "Here, boy, take this."
Right.
And you'll be a home run slugger like me. Let me shoot this in your arm.
Not in the arm. In the arm, that is crazy. All right. Week 4 is past, man. Listen, Week 4 is past, and it was some great games to watch. And we're going to kind of go through them. It was some drama, and we're going to talk about that too. As a matter of fact, first game on, we're going to talk about the Bengals and the Dolphins game. The Bengals got their second win of the year. They beat the Dolphins, gave them their first loss on a short week with an injured Tua. Now injured Jalen Waddle. Guru, what you think about what happened with Tua?
I think personally the organization failed, my man. When I first seen it, and I'm no concussion expert, but I played a lot of football. And when I first seen him take that hit Sunday, which wasn't a hard hit, but he kind of fell on his head.
Right.
When he got up and stumbled, right, trying to gain his balance, to me that was enough to keep him out the game.
Right.
Right. And enough to go through all the proper procedures of evaluating head trauma, right? For you to clear him back in the game just to win a game, in my opinion, right? It was a big division game, so you wanted to win the game, right? But to risk a player's health to win a football game, and then to add insult to injury, you don't want to show that it's possible that he may have had a concussion, so you throw him back out there 4 nights later and subject them to even more head trauma. I think the organization failed him, man. And it's been so much within the Miami organization that makes you question the integrity of the organization. Like 1 minute, y'all paying coaches to lose games. The next minute, you tampering with players. And you doing any and everything from a fan's perspective, not a Miami Dolphins fan, but a football fan's perspective of anything trying to win a football game. Like, you going through all types of red flags just to win a football game, and it's just adds to it.
Yeah. You think it's time to start lobbying for that ownership?
I think it's time for some draft picks to get taken. I think it's time for some money to be taken. I think it's time for a lot of cracking down on the Miami Dolphin organization.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's a hostile working environment, if you ask me personally, because you could, the one thing that we only got as a fan or as the coach is the eye test. We're not doctors. If we were doctors and we can kind of make those assertions, it'll be a little different. But if all we got is the eye test, and we can clearly see that my man head bounced off the ground on Sunday. He got up, he stumbled. You seen him shaking his head. Clearly he is seeing stars or birds or whatever. Right. You take him out the game, and you blame it on something else. Number one, what's the point of blaming it on something else? So that he could play next week? That don't make sense.
I think they did it just so he could finish the game. But being that you put him back in the game, he has to play next week because you can't put him in concussion protocol and you put him back in the game. You know, so it's one of them things where you got to protect the player from himself. Tua probably say, nah, man, it's my back. I'm all right. I can go in there because Tua want to win the game. You know, it's a lot going around about Tua's name and, you know, him on the hot seat amongst other things when the season started. Then we surround him with so many weapons and we saying that this your last chance to really get it done. So you want to go out there and kind of prove that you can do it.
Right. And that actually segues to a great question, right? Because you're an athlete. You done played sports. You done played football in particular. Mm-hmm. What is it about the athlete that no matter the circumstance, they are just hungry to keep going? Like, you know, me personally, if I hit my head on the ground and I'm stumbling when I get up, I'm going to take myself out the game. I'm good. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's no telling the long-term impact. It's no telling what could possibly happen. So what is it about players that no matter what happened, they still want to go back and get more?
It's that competitiveness. I mean, like I said, Tua was one of those quarterbacks at the beginning of the season that they said was on the hot seat. So being that you feel like your job is in jeopardy, right, or you feel like you haven't proven enough and you're in line to get some money, the way that they're throwing around money, you want to prove to the organization that you are worth
all that money,
some money at the end of the day, and you feel like you letting your teammates down. You don't. It's a lot that going through your mind when you're a star player. Like I done played games with partially torn biceps. You know, I done played games in college where the trainers looked at me and say, "Man, don't go back in the game." But I'm good.
When should they take that I'm good and make the decision for the player? Because clearly, just like a boxer, you got to protect them against themselves. And, you know, it's a difference because you got players now who are speaking in regards to CTE and how it's impacting them. In fact, I think we had Dex here.
James.
Right. And both of them were saying, you know, oh, man, that's the CTE. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So at what point do you step in and say, no, come out?
Personally, I think they should do it at all times because that's what they pay you for.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're paid to do a specific job, and the job is to diagnose these players properly,
right,
and keep them out of games in which you don't feel like they can perform. It should never be the player's decision because the player is not getting paid to be a doctor. He's paid to play football, right. So his opinion should not matter.
Right.
He ain't coming to you and asking you what play to go on to run on third down. So he shouldn't be able to diagnose himself as right. healthy enough to go back in the game when you can clearly see that he is not.
And that's something else that stood out. I heard somebody mention, you know, in UFC, if you get a concussion, they make you wait 6 months before you can fight again. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably the most barbaric sport out of all of them because they got the glove size is smaller. They are able to kick, punch, and grapple and put people in submission holds, and it's brutal. But if that sport is telling you, you know, if you got a concussion, you got to wait. Mm-hmm. Why is it that players in the NFL could go right back on the field in 2-3 weeks after they get a concussion? All they got to do is pass a specific amount of tests. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can't speak to the reason why that is because, like I said, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a concussion specialist. However, I know it's certain symptoms that they look for that supposed to go away before they clear you to play again. Right. You know, back when we was playing, we really knew very little about concussions.
Right.
You know, we just say you got your bell rung or you seeing stars or whatever the case may be, and like they say, you know, you're a human being. You don't have no damn bells and you don't have no, you know what I mean? So
exactly.
It's just certain things we was taught, and when you are taught certain things for a long period of time, that's the mentality that you play the game with. You play, oh, it's just I just got my bell rung, I'm good. No, you got a concussion, and it's serious. It's not the same because people have researched and people have done, you know, the proper due diligence to find out what is actually going on with the brain to the point where we know that you're not supposed to be playing with it.
Right.
You know, so I think that, you know, like I say, the team failed that, man, and they need to do a better job, and they need to do some investigating into that Miami Dolphin organization.
Right, because they fired the quote unquote doctor.
Right now they're looking for scapegoats.
Exactly. And then Mike McDaniels, he actually went in that interview, or like on a what's some joints when they stand in front of the podium?
Press conference.
Press conference. Yeah, he went inside the press conference and was just like, I'm not the doctor. Pretty much. Well, he pretty much said this. I'm not the doctor. If the doctor tell me he's good to play what I'm supposed to do, and if I sit him against what the doctor's saying, when am I gonna know when to play him? And it's like, bruh, it's common sense to say you've seen his head hit the ground. You know what a concussion looked like. You've seen him stumble. Everything is eye test based, and you gotta allow your professional perspective to kick in when you're looking at the eye test.
You see how quick they ruled him out next game, right?
Yeah, exactly. They got to there. So my man
we
was
ain't even do no proper testing, but you see how quick they ruled him out.
My man
it's like
Bengals was
we ain't gonna even wait.
Yeah.
Ain't no test. Man could have cleared every test known to man, but they will not put Tua in the game for the next 2 weeks.
No chance. In that game in particular, the Bengals end up winning 27-15. Of course, that Joe Burrow, he's still Joe Burrow. He was 20-31. He had 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. The offensive line was still trash, but they end up pulling one out. Do you think that this is going to help the Bengals turn around their season?
No.
They're going to still be the same?
I think the Bengals, they're fortunate to be playing in a division that everybody's playing like trash right now. So, they right there tied first place with Baltimore. I think Cleveland got 2 wins too, don't they?
Yep.
So they right there in the thick of things with Cleveland and Baltimore, but they got Baltimore coming up this week, Sunday Night Football. So we'll see if the Bengals are who they supposed to be.
Absolutely. All right, out in London, we had the Vikings and the Saints. It was a really, really good game. Surprisingly, I forgot that it was that early, so I ended up watching the second half of it. But I can tell you that dude, Will Lutz, man, he got guts. They put him in a real tough position where he had to make 2 60-yard field goals to be great, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? He made one, and they came right back around and had him make another one, and he barely missed it. What do you think it'd do for the Saints? The Saints right now is 1-3. I believe they won the first game and lost 3 straight.
Yep.
So what do you think that this is going to do for them in their season, and how is this going to impact the Vikings as far as their confidence goes?
I think the Vikings, like I said from the beginning, they'll be fine. The Saints played without Jameis Winston, and they played without Alvin Kamara, your starting quarterback and your workhorse running back, so it's not easy to win a football game without those 2 people in particular. I think that number 1 wide receiver was missing. Michael Thomas didn't play. So you missing your starting quarterback, your starting running back, and your number 1 wide receiver, and you still play a team and lost by 3 points, a team that's 3-1 now.
Right.
And
Olave was making some big catches.
Yeah, Olave is going to be a star in the league. He's going to be a star. He was a star in college, and he's going to be a huge star in New Orleans, but they need to get Jameis Winston healthy and stop throwing the ball to the other team.
Right. Well, maybe I guess if you think about it, because I feel like old boy played a pretty good game. He didn't make as many mistakes. Andy Dalton, you know what I'm saying, in place of Jameis. So I don't know. I know Andy Dalton has the potential to be a starter if he's in the right situation, but I don't know. We'll see. What I do know is, right now the best player on that team is Taysom Hill. My man, listen,
saying a whole lot.
I've seen every time he get a carry, he get at least 15 yards, and if he in the red zone, if he within the 10, he gonna score a touchdown. I don't know whether it's his vision. I don't know what it is in particular about him, but he run hard, he fast, and he get where he need to go. So,
what I took most out the game though was the fact that Justin Jefferson finally looked like Justin Jefferson, and he did my man dirty
Ooh.
Marshawn Lattimore. Like, I think they said that no other receiver has ever caught more than 3 passes on Marshawn Lattimore in a game. And Justin Jefferson had 10 for 147.
Yeah. He went crazy. But I guess that's what we expect of him at this point.
Yeah, you do. That means you want to beat him. That he say he want to be the best receiver in the league. So you're going to have to turn out those type of games against those type of DBs.
Exactly. The Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland Browns actually took a L to the Atlanta Falcons 23-20. That game was pretty good. I feel like Jacoby Brissett did an okay job.
Mm-hmm.
He was 21 for 35, 234 yards and an interception. No touchdowns though. Nick Chubb had 118 yards rushing with a touchdown on 19 carries, and David Njoku had 73 yards on 5 catches. What do you think the Browns got to do at this stage? They still got another 7 games before Deshaun Watson come back. What do you think that they need to do to maintain? As far as by the time Deshaun Watson come out, what do you think their record should be at?
Where it should be at?
Yeah.
They want to be over 500, I'm assuming. I don't even think it was the offense problem, to be honest. Cleveland is playing with a lot of banged up bodies on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's supposed to be the part of the team that carries them while they wait on Deshaun Watson to return is the defense. Because you got a recipe to win in the league if you can run the ball. They got Nick Chubb. They can just hand the ball to Nick Chubb, and he's going to get you 100 yards a game.
Right.
And
they got a 2-headed monster in the back.
Right. But Nick Chubb is your bell cow, to be honest.
Right.
Run Nick Chubb and play defense. The defense hasn't been able to stop people consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't show up the problems on defense, they're going to be, when Deshaun Watson get back, they might be 3-8.
Oh my God! And now they got problems because Myles Garrett got in an accident and he's gonna be out this week. So their defense just pretty much got
They're
worse.
gonna probably do some kind of investigating on him too. Because they say he was driving at an unsafe speed when he crashed.
Yep.
And I think it was a single car crash.
It was a single
so
car
now
crash.
They're gonna question whether you was under the influence or something.
You think it's too late for that now, though? Like, because they didn't give him a breathalyzer at the scene. It ain't like they could find out whether he was drunk at this point.
Man, the commissioner don't give a damn about all what they found. The commissioner.
Yeah, assume whatever needs to be assumed.
Go to a traffic light and say, man, we seen you stumble when you got out the car. You
funny.
had to be drunk. We're going to suspend you.
Oh, man.
You might have got one of them massages.
Oh.
You might have been driving to the massage.
He might have been leaving from the massage and couldn't feel his damn legs. All right, so we got some NFC East action taking place. The surprising Dallas Cowboys took care of the Washington Commanders. I still hate that goddamn name. They beat them 25-10. You had Cooper Rush. He was 15 for 27, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zeke carried the ball 19 times on 41 yards, and CeeDee Lamb had a hell of a game, 6 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Is the Cowboys best team in the NFC East?
Oh, hell no.
Where do you rank them?
They're right there where I said they would be 2 through 4.
Listen, y'all division is really surprising right now because you got the 4-0 Eagles, the 3-1 Cowboys, and the 3-1 Giants. Guru, be honest with yourself first. Did you think the Giants would be at 3-1 at this point of the season?
No, honestly, I thought we'd be 4-0 at this point in the season. But we took a loss to Dallas. That's realistically looking at the schedule. I felt like we had spots where we could come out. We had the Bears, bro. Like I told you on the podcast last week what we was gonna do to the Bears, and I told you if we lost to the Bears, I wouldn't talk Giant football no more this year. I don't care if we won the Super Bowl. But of course, I knew we wasn't gonna lose to the Bears. We had the Bears. We had the Panthers with Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Titans. That was the toughest game that I felt like was on our schedule. And then we had Dallas. I felt like the Dallas game could go either way. I felt like we would probably get a win because we was home early. But, it shake out that at this point of the season, we're 3-1, and I'll take it.
I bet.
Because we got Green Bay and Baltimore up next, and we might very well be 3-3.
Yeah.
But we should knock Green Bay off, too.
Man, listen, the way that y'all playing, I feel like it's surprising. Let me ask you this, because Cooper Rush is undefeated, bro. He's undefeated since taking over for Dak. You think that's a problem for Dallas?
No. I think it's a good situation for them to be in, because the more Cooper Rush plays, the more you see what the strength of your football team is.
Okay.
Run the football and play defense. But when I go back to saying run the football, I look at Zeke carried the ball 19 times and they didn't even have 50 yards.
Yeah.
Look, I gave the people last week Zeke over 15.5 carries, right?
Uh-huh.
So one of my partners said, I did the math, guru. If he carried the ball 15.5 times, if he gets 16 carries, he'll most definitely have 50 yards. So I'm going to just bet him to get 50 or more yards. And the man had 49 yards and destroyed my man parlay just like that. And he said, man, I should have just listened to you and took the 15.5 carries. The man had 19 carries for 49 yards, Avery.
How many?
Against the Commanders.
19 carries for 49 yards. If he had 10 carries for 49 yards, that'll say he's at like a 4.9, right? But at 19, he got to be at like a 2.1. Like, what's his purpose?
Bruh, man, you is in the way. You just getting the ball and falling forward at this point.
Exactly. So this is my other question in regards to Dallas, right? Because Dallas, their defense is stout. We know that. Boom. They stand strong. They tough. They tall, whatever. And Cooper Rush appears to be the difference right now.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if all the way up until it's time for Dak Prescott to come back, Cooper Rush don't lose? Let's say Dak Prescott come back week 10 and Dallas is 9-1. Well, do you stay with Cooper Rush?
I'm going to be the first to say this. Dallas, if Dak don't come back this week, then you ain't got to worry about Cooper Rush being undefeated when he come back. And them people got the Rams coming off an ass whooping on Monday night, and Aaron Donald is looking for somebody named Cooper Rush, and it's not going to be pretty.
That's funny. But, hey, Coop is getting rid of the ball. I didn't get a nigga a nickname or anything. He is moving the ball. He getting rid of it. He ain't holding it in his hand too. So he is I hate to say this out loud, and I hate to bring it back.
Don't say nothing stupid.
But he the Jimmy Garoppolo in Dallas right now. I'm just saying he is Jimmy G in Dallas. He is managing the shit out the game. Jimmy G is a high level game manager.
So Cooper Rush can take Dallas to the Super Bowl.
No, Dallas defense can take Dallas to the Super Bowl.
I mean, you still got to have to be the quarterback of the team. If they don't go back to Dak, Cooper Rush can take Dallas to the NFC Championship game.
He can go with them to the NFC Championship game. Listen. So are you saying, Guru, that Jimmy Garoppolo took us to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'm saying that he was the quarterback the year y'all went to the Super Bowl. He didn't quarterback.
Did we go because of him?
Hold on.
Okay.
He didn't quarterback. Your ass ain't make the playoffs. Then he came back. Y'all went to the NFC Championship. So I'm saying that he has more of a right to say, hey, man, I'm the guy that got you there. Then you can say anything else.
Right. But what I'm saying is he's putting out the same level of productivity as Jimmy Garoppolo is. Jimmy G was able to get us there because he didn't lose the game. But he was not an astronomical asset to us winning the game. Of course, he had that I hate to say this too. I'm going to say it. He had the Tim Tebow syndrome where he win regardless. But I just feel like it's one of those things where a big part of us winning wasn't specific to him. I had so many people tell me over and over again, oh, y'all ain't he threw the ball twice against the Vikings, and
yeah, but
I get it, but you still got to be able to
if it's
properly
working,
manage
it's
the
working.
game. Exactly. And
Right. But my thing with Jimmy is when he was not in the lineup,
we lost. We didn't know what to do. That's a part of the problem. The other thing is Jimmy G get rid of the ball fast, which was a problem that I had with Trey Lance. But it's also something that Cooper Rush is doing. He's getting rid of the ball fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you know where you're going with the ball and you're able to successfully get the ball where you needed it to go, you're either in a position to kick a field goal and you leave it to the defense to stop whatever team you got, or you get in the end zone. And Cooper Rush been getting in the end zone. So, it's hard to tell. He threw 2 touchdowns this past week. So, it's hard to tell what's the reasoning, but we know that Dallas defense is going to sustain. They're going to do their part. I think it's more so about what the offensive side is going to do against whoever the defense got to go against. If you can keep their points low, you'll be fine. And that's what they've been doing. That's been the
recipe.
The recipe. Keeping the other team points low and just kind of doing whatever we can to score more points.
Right.
And I got to say, it's a tough pill to swallow if Dak Prescott come back and they lose. You know what I'm saying?
Well, get ready.
and this, by that time, it's going to be too late to bring Cooper Rush back. But Cooper Rush going to find his stuff on somebody's team next year if he's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a break. Let's take our first break of the evening. Again, week 4 and week 5 touchdowns. Welcome back to the Betmoorsports podcast. I'm your host, Avery Fuller, with my co-host, Stephen Chapman Bay, a.k.a.
The Guru.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it is week 4, or the end of week 4, again in NFL this week. Let's go straight to the next game that we were talking about before, which is the Seahawks and the Lions. It was a shootout. Nobody playing defense. Seahawks beat the Lions 48-45. Jared Goff threw for 378 yards on 26 of 39 with 4 touchdowns. You had T.J. Hockenson had a game of his life. 8 receptions, 179 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Rashad Penny had a game of his life. 17 carries, 151 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There's no defense involved in this entire process. So, Guru, what you think about that game?
I think the game went kind of how I expected, man. High scoring, no defense being played. Detroit is averaging over 30 points a game and giving up over 30 points a game. And they was in an unfamiliar spot. They was laying points in this game, and I don't like betting teams as in unfamiliar spots. So I kind of was on Seattle and the over in this one. So it kind of went exactly how I expected it to go.
I definitely didn't expect it to be this type of game, but I get it for sure. Next up, we got the Titans and the Colts. Titans beat the Colts 24-17. Matt Ryan, he had a pretty good game. 27-37, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, he rushed for over 100 with 114 on 22 carries and a touchdown. What does this game mean for the Colts?
Not a whole lot. I mean, they don't have an identity. We don't know who the Colts are right now. They just not winning games. At one point, they wasn't winning games on the road. Then they came back and beat Kansas City, so it kind of got the people in an upbeat or uproar and ended thinking that they had figured it out. Then they turn right around and lose a game to Tennessee, which isn't surprising because Tennessee owns Indianapolis in the division as of late. I think they won either the last 8 or the last 6 out of 8 versus Indy in this series. So that wasn't surprising, man. Indy, got to figure it out today against Denver. So we'll see if they'll end up 3-1 or they can end up 2-1. But then they got a lot to kind of figure out.
Definitely got a lot of work to do. I just hope that your boy had the same game that he had last time, because they gave me a ton of fantasy points, and I could use those fantasy points.
Who that, Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan, absolutely. That ice maker is loud as a all right, let's go to the next game. The next game is a game that you spoke clear on as far as how you feel with your boys. The Bears and the G-Men. The Giants actually got away with the win, 20-12, moving them to 3-1, 2-1 at home. And the Bears, of course, dropped to 2-2. What you think about this game overall, starting with your boys and then moving up to your expectations?
Well, I told you if we lose to the Bears, I wasn't going to talk Giant football no more this year. There was no way we was losing to the Bears with Justin Fields quarterbacking. And, the Bears is not a talented roster. We was able to get away with a win in a game where both of our quarterbacks went down. Mm-hmm. At one point in the game, Saquon Barkley was taking snaps in the Wildcat, and they had Daniel Jones just split out wide. He only came to the huddle to kind of call the plays in the huddle, and then Saquon took the snaps and either handed it off or he took off running. But, the defense played solid. It's the Bears, so I don't get too excited.
Right.
Defense played solid. I think Wink Martindale kind of blitzes too much in not the right spots. We gave up a 3rd and 20 when the man had an all-out blitz and they snuck a screen right behind the blitzing linebackers. So, the Giants did what they're supposed to do against a pretty bad Bears team.
Right. Yeah. They definitely not looking the best, even though they is at 500 right now. I don't know. There's still a lot of season left, so we'll see what happens. Next up, we got the Eagles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars went up early 14-0. The Eagles actually made it a point to come back from being down 14-0 and actually won the game 29-21. Jalen Hurts, he threw for 16 out of 25 for 204 yards and an interception. Didn't throw any touchdowns, but he did run for one. Miles Sanders, he rushed his butt off, 27 carries at 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. And A.J. Brown did what A.J. Brown do. He just showed up. He had 5 receptions for 95 yards. That means he had some big plays. So what you think this win means for the Eagles going against what appears to be a game Jaguars?
Jacksonville threw the game away. Philly did what they were supposed to do. Jacksonville kind of looked like Jacksonville towards the end of the game. They looked like the old Jacksonville. I think Trevor Lawrence went and had some extra buttery popcorn after the first quarter because he couldn't hold on to the ball. I know the elements kind of played a part into it. It was real windy and rainy in Philly due to Hurricane Ian. And the man turned the ball over 4 times, and Jacksonville turned the ball over 5 times as a team. And Philly found a way to win, and Jacksonville found a way to lose. I think it's more to how bad Jacksonville played after the first quarter than it is how good Philly responded to adversity. Because it's not really hard to respond to adversity when you're a touchdown point favorite. It's not like they was in a game where it was supposed to be a dogfight and they found a way to win. No, you were supposed to win.
So pretty much Jacksonville lost the game. The Eagles didn't really win it.
Right. Well, it kind of goes on the stat sheet as
a win,
as both a win and a loss for both teams. But Jacksonville, they found a way to lose the game again, just like they did against the Commanders in Week 1 when they went into the fourth quarter up by more than a touchdown.
Man. I know those Eagles fans is losing their damn mind right now. Good
yeah,
Lord.
They 4-0.
Only undefeated team in the league. See how long that lasts. All right, next up we got the Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh actually lost that game. They're 1-3, 0-2 at home. Mike Tomlin's projected to have his first losing season, possibly, but this particular game they actually moved Kenny Pickett into the lineup. Well, not into the lineup. They moved him into the game after Mitchell Trubisky got benched. He showed up. Well, he popped in there. Was 10 for 13 and 100 and something yards. But 3 of those 13 was interceptions, and I noticed that 2 of them weren't really his fault. But as far as the Steelers, how you think they're going to fare throughout the rest of the season, because it just looked like their trajectory is moving in the wrong direction?
I think Kenny Pickett being in the starting lineup as the quarterback will actually give them a boost. Kenny Pickett doesn't mind throwing a deep ball, and he has a bunch of deep ball receivers on the team. You know, he has a bunch of tall receivers, a bunch of receivers that can run good routes, a bunch of receivers that can run deep to intermediate routes. Mitchell Trubisky just been checking down, and it's not to the strength of the Steelers. You know, you have a bad offensive line, but you have a good running back. You know, so you can pop screens and you can throw the ball over the top to guys like Pickens, who has no problem stretching the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Kenny Pickett will actually give them a spark. How they should fare throughout the rest of the season, it's up for grabs because they're losing games early against teams that they was slated to win against.
Right.
So, you know, I think they got Buffalo next, and they're 14-point dogs, so that kind of shows you what the odds makers think about the Steelers moving forward with Kenny Pickett.
Well, I'm definitely rooting for them to finish 1-17, so I can get that nice bottle of Top Chef. Ding. All right. Buffalo and the Ravens, 23-20 was the score. Josh Allen finished with 19 of 36, 213 yards, and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson led the game in rushing with 11 carries and 73 yards. And Stephon Diggs pretty much led the game in receiving, 4 receptions, 62 yards. Stat-wise, everybody looked low. It's definitely a different look, but I understand defense is imperative in these type of games. Give me your thoughts on this game, Guru.
Well, I don't think it was more so the defense. It was kind of the elements in this game as well. It was a lot of rain and heavy wind up and down the East Coast, and this was another game that was impacted by those elements. Baltimore just, for some reason, they don't know how to play 2 halves of football. They get up big in the first half, and then the second half they just disappear.
Fall asleep.
You know, this was a game in which they was up 17 points, and they blew it and allowed Buffalo to come back. Like, I think they was up 20-3, and they didn't score a point in the second half, which is unacceptable in the NFL.
Right, and how can a team be successful if they can't sustain the lead in which they gain? They work so hard to get. It's really tough to see, especially it happened to somebody like Lamar Jackson, who is betting on himself right now, and a lot of the success of the team is taken out of his hands.
Right.
All right, next up we got the Chargers and the Houston Texans. The Chargers showed up this week, beat the Texans 34-24. Texans 0-3-1, haven't gotten a W yet. Justin Herbert finished the game 27-39 for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dameon Pierce, he had a game to remember for sure, 14 carries at 131 yards and 1 touchdown. Mike Williams actually had 7 receptions for 120 yards, which means he was really catching some significant shots being thrown. Man, why is that thing so loud? It ain't used to be that loud, did it?
Nah, I guess you done had it in hostage.
Yeah,
Put it up in stores for too long, so
it
got to warm up a little bit.
Guru, do you think this game put the Chargers back on track to move in the direction in which we expected?
I hope so, because I bet them to win the division. But a win against the Texans is not the measuring stick to getting back on track. You know, a game in which they were supposed to win.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, this is not the game that you kind of look at and say this the one that gets you back on track. However, Justin Herbert kind of looked like Justin Herbert, and he showed no real ill effects of the rib injury. He played kind of like the quarterback that they expected him to play like, which is a good sign moving forward. You know, you're still winning these games and still competing without your number 1 receiver.
Right.
You know, so Keenan Allen will sooner or later come back. And when he come back and we can get these same looks against the Kansas Cities of the world, then we can kind of give you a good assessment of what the Chargers look like moving forward.
Yeah, because the expectations through the roof for that entire division. So, I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we got the Cardinals and the Panthers. Cardinals actually showed up this week. Didn't have to come from behind or nothing. 26-16. Kyler Murray threw for 207 yards on 32 attempts with 23 receptions, 2 touchdowns. James Conner finished the game with 55 yards rushing on 15 carries. And, of course, Hollywood Brown finished the game 6 receptions, 88 yards and a touchdown. We know what to expect as far as the Panthers, right? They success is very limited. But how does this help the Cardinals?
Before I get on the Cardinals, don't let these same unsuccessful Panthers beat San Francisco this Sunday. Don't come back on this podcast and let that be the case. The Cardinals, however, they gotta figure out how to start. They're like Baltimore in reverse. They don't know how to start a game fast, but they'll finish a game strong, especially on the road. You know, we saw them erase a 20-0 lead against Vegas in Vegas, and they kind of scored 16 points in the fourth quarter of this one to win 26-16 against, a Carolina team that's really not that good. Arizona is only good on the road, though. They're not playing well at home, and that's not a recipe for success in this league. You got to win home games as well as road games. You're supposed to be able to defend your home field if you don't do nothing else.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think that defeats the purpose of having home field advantage if you can't win at home.
Right.
That's kind of home field disadvantage. Shit.
That's what it is in Arizona.
That's crazy. All right, the Packers. The Packers stepped into the ring with the Patriots, ended up finishing the game 27-24. The Patriots right now is 1-3, Packers 3-1. Aaron Rodgers, he had a pretty good game, 21 for 35, 251 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 110 yards, and Allen Lazard, 6 receptions for 116 yards. You think Aaron Rodgers still need to worry?
No, Aaron Rodgers will tell you quick to relax. Green Bay, they're playing in a division where the competition is really not that stiff. You got Minnesota that's playing pretty good, and then you got Chicago and Detroit, 2 teams that won't be nowhere to be found when it's time to crown a division champ. So they're right where they want to be, 3-1. They struggled against a third-string quarterback in New England. They knocked Brian Hoyer out the game early, and then the third-string quarterback came in and looked like Willie Joe Namath against them and had to win a game in overtime against New England. So they got a lot to figure out, but they're in a good position where they'll be just fine.
Right. All right, the Raiders, they got their first win against the Broncos. At the time, they was 2-1. Now they're 2-2. Raiders 1-3. What does this mean for the Raiders? You think that they can kind of get it going? You think they can contribute to their division, as, of course, their division is considered the strongest in the league?
This is a game that was purely decided strictly upon matchups. Vegas has dominated the Broncos over the recent years, and they just caught a Broncos team that hasn't been playing the greatest. This was the first game Denver has scored over 20 points all season, and Vegas just took advantage of their opponent and capitalized on an opportunity to get a win.
They needed it.
I don't think Vegas is going to do a whole lot moving forward, but we'll see.
Absolutely. All right. Well, last game of Sunday was the Chiefs and the Broncos. The Chiefs and the Bucks. Patrick Mahomes showed up, and Tom Brady, he showed up because he had to. I think he kind of overshowed up, if that makes sense. Anyway, the Chiefs beat them 41-31. Tom Brady finished the game 39-52. 52? Yeah, I said it, 52. With 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. Edward Hilaire, he finished the game 19 carries on 92 yards with a touchdown. And then Mike Evans, he finished the game 8 receptions, 103 yards with 2 touchdowns. Should we be worried about the Buccaneers?
No, they'll be fine. They're just getting their players back Tom Brady's getting his weapons back. He still don't have all his weapons at his disposal. They'll continually get better. They're playing, for real, a tough part of their schedule.
Right.
They ain't playing no scrubs right now, and people are taking their best shots at Tampa. And Tom Brady actually played a good game, getting Mike Evans back off suspension. And like I said, they just ran into a buzzsaw, to be honest. Kansas City kind of had this game circled on their calendar since that Super Bowl ass whooping they took
yeah, they
Tampa Bay,
took that.
and they kind of embarrassed Pat Mahomes and the offense. I don't think the offense scored a touchdown in that game against Tampa, and they was kind of chomping at the bit to get back to Tampa, a field in which they lost the Super Bowl on, and kind of get their lick back, so to speak. It's not as rewarding as the Super Bowl, but it's the now. So we gotta take what we can get. So they kind of took their lick back, and Kansas City looked like a team that's primed to make a good run in the AFC, especially in the AFC West.
Hey, well, we'll see. We'll see. Definitely, they definitely playing the best out of that division. Personally,
the division is a little disappointing.
Absolutely. All right. The last game of Week 4, Monday Night Football, we had the 49ers take on the LA Rams. I think this game didn't go as expected, but it went as expected, if that makes sense. Give me some thoughts on this game. 24-9, Deebo Samuels made that massive run, but you got players like Jeff Wilson Jr. showing up, 74 yards, carrying the ball on 18 carries with a touchdown. What do the Rams need to do to get back in a familiar situation?
The Rams need to figure out how to get more players involved offensively than Cooper Kupp. If you can't design plays and scheme plays to get guys like Robinson open and guys like Cam Akers moving and spaced in, you're not going to win many football games in this league. Like, Cooper Kupp is good. He's great. And he's good to do what he does in every game, any given Sunday or Monday. However, you're going to need more than that to kind of beat these defensive coordinators game in and game out. And I think this is another case in which the matchup favors San Francisco. They kind of own the Rams head-to-head in the regular season. Like I say previous times before, they was a tart interception away from actually beating them 9 straight and going to the Super Bowl. The Rams found out a way to win that game in the NFC Championship, but in the regular season, it's a totally different story. They just can't beat the Niners.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy how we always win these type of games in the regular season, and we get in the playoffs. Well, we should have won that game. It is what it is. All right, well, look, let's take another break. We got more coming up with the Guru for sure. And, of course, the Guru's pick of the day, Betmoorsports. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Betmoorsports podcast. I am your host, Avery Fuller, with my co-host, Stephen Sharpe, a.k.a.
The Guru.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we had a point in time where we went over all the games in week 4, and we could see the difference. So I want to know week 5, Guru, what's the game of the week?
I'm going to say the game of the week is the Rams and the Cowboys, based solely upon the fact that the rest of the games are really not that evenly matched or that also interesting to kind of watch,
right,
so to speak. But with the Rams and the Cowboys, you got a few interesting tales in the storyline. You got Cooper Rush, who's undefeated as a starting quarterback. Dak Prescott kind of senses it. He's trying to rush back. Then you got the Rams, who are coming off a loss Monday night to San Francisco, and they're trying to right the ship. They have 2 losses already early on the season. They're 2-2, and they want to kind of cement their name back in the thick of things in the NFC and the NFC West.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's something that's interesting to watch. I think the Rams are 5.5-point favorites, which kind of says a lot about the matchup. Dallas is playing top of the line defense. The Rams, they're really not looking good on any phase of the game, to be honest. So it's interesting to me to see how that one will play out.
Okay, all right. I actually got the believe it or not, the G-Men against the Packers. I feel like that's a statement game. If the Giants win this game, it's gonna say a ton in regards to their flukerism. Made that word up.
We make up a lot of words.
But I feel like if they can beat the Packers, even though the Packers is not like what we're accustomed to seeing from them, I mean, eventually they will be. But right now, if they can win this game, this will be a big game that most fans consider this a loss. So it'll be good to see. That's my game of the week. I just don't know how they can do it, but I think if they do it, they'll start off the season 4-1. When the last time the Giants did that? It's been a while. So I don't know. Tell me this: who is your MVP right now?
My MVP right now would probably be Pat Mahomes or Saquon Barkley.
If you had to pick one, you only can pick one.
That's not fair. So I'm going to say Saquon Barkley because he's a Giant. But Pat Mahomes is playing MVP caliber football, but so is Saquon. So I'm going to say Saquon because he got the Giants at 3-1 solely because of only him.
Yeah, that's 100% fact. I don't know where y'all would be if he weren't there. That's for sure. I would still have to go with Lamar. Right now, he's my MVP, even though he didn't play as great as he's been playing all season.
Right.
I feel like
I said, the rain probably played a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. And I just think that for him, he is such a game changer. There's no way to prepare for him.
Right.
So, but he got to be as consistent as he's been in order for that to stick. So we'll see. We'll see. Outside of that, what game surprised you the most this week? Like what victory do you feel like was completely unexpected?
It's really hard to say, man, because I'm the guru. So a lot of these games I saw going in the direction of the way they go based solely upon the matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I wasn't surprised at the way Kansas City beat Tampa Bay, but that would be probably the most the game that was most in question from the start. You know,
right.
Whether they would be able to come out and execute as well as they were able to execute offensively and defensively early in the game. You know, like the first maybe 4 or 5 drives, Kansas City put the ball in the end zone. You know, I don't think they punted the football into the late third quarter or the fourth quarter. You know, just the way they was able to execute on a pretty good Tampa Bay defense and to score 41 points is amazing in the league against anybody, especially against a Bucs defense that kind of is the backbone of the team, and they have Tom Brady on the team, and the defense is really what carried them in that Super Bowl victory over Kansas City. So to see Kansas City respond and put up 41 points on that defense was the most surprising.
Oh, nice. I would say my most surprise was probably the Raiders over the Broncos. Number one, the Raiders ain't really shown any capacity to win.
Right.
At least the Broncos got 2 victories, even though they was dirty and sloppy and rotten. They still have shown the ability to have some goal. But who knows? The Raiders might make a run. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They're gonna finish last in their division though.
Yeah, pretty
Either
much.
way you put it. All right. What about the biggest letdown game? Like what game you feel like was it didn't go according to your projection?
The biggest letdown, like I say, I pretty much saw all the games going kind of the way they went. But far as a letdown, in my opinion, it was the Rams because you're facing a team that really has your number, that's been beating you consistently and constantly in the regular season, and you didn't show no type of adjustments or no type of fight in a game in which you only scored 9 points and got beat 24-9 against a team that has pretty much owned you. So, coming off the Super Bowl and being the defending Super Bowl champs, you would expect them to kind of figure out their nemesis, and they were unable to figure it out. However, I did kind of know that the Rams was going to lose just based upon the history. But,
Right.
I kind of got in my feelings and bet against San Francisco anyway because that's just what I do at times.
Yeah.
I give you a write-up to tell you all the reasons to bet San Francisco and why not to follow the guru in this instance, and I did that. I prepared you to bet San Francisco just to tell you that I was going to take the Rams anyway because I get hard-headed sometimes and I'm cocky. So sometimes it's best to read in
Absolutely.
between the lines and don't just look for the highlighted part and say the guru say take the Rams. No, I said the 49ers is the best bet, but the guru is going to take the Rams. Sometimes you got to go against the guru.
Yeah. I mean, it happens, man. Listen, at the end of the day, who's perfect outside of me?
The guru.
All right, my surprise was truthfully it was the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills game. I did not expect the production to be as low. I know you the guru, so you kind of paid attention to the detail side of it.
Right.
But I just kind of looked at the teams and I looked at who was playing, and I felt like, while Buffalo got the better team, I felt like,
I don't even know if Buffalo has the better team.
well, they got a better team on both sides of the ball. The Ravens secondary is suspect.
Well, I mean, the Raiders secondary looked pretty bad because, the first week, both of their first couple of weeks, both of their starting corners was hurt. They're just now getting back in the game, Peters and Humphries, they're two of the best corners in the league, to be honest. But they were banged up at the beginning of the season. They just now catching their stride. They looked a whole lot better in the last game. So, I don't know. When you look at the rosters, I don't know who has the better roster, to be honest.
Hey, you never know. All right, well, listen, with that said,
I know the pick.
and now it's time for the Guru's pick of the day.
The Guru's pick of the day is Buffalo University and Bowling Green over 54 points. Take everything you can big, bar, and steal and bet that on the over Buffalo and Bowling Green. It's a 12 p.m. start. 5 out of the last 6 has resulted in the over in this matchup, and this one should go well over the total. So we're going to bet that over, man. We're going to take everything we can big, bar, and steal and bet on Buffalo and Bowling Green over the total.
There you have it. It's the Guru giving the Guru's pick of the day. It's been a great afternoon. We've been enjoying every second of this. Make sure y'all check out the website again. If you don't know, it's betmoorsports.com. Also, check us out on Facebook. Join the group, Betmoorsports group. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, every possible social media platform that's out there. Follow, like, comment, subscribe. Love us like we love you. If you don't, then you do. With that said, hey, we are out of here. Y'all have a great afternoon. Peace.
Till next time.